Hey everybody, hope everybody's doing good, staying blessed and feeling well. I am back. Just got out of school not that long ago and decided to actually do a video since I've had a little tiny bit more time in doing MIG, and so I can give you my first impression. There are a few things that I find myself like getting used to. And the number one, if you watch my previous video, is getting used to gripping the actual gun and holding that trigger down and keeping it held down. The really interesting thing about MIG that I kind of like is I don't have to constantly change out electrodes since it's wire fed. I can just keep on welding. The thing I did notice with this is I do a lot more quenching or cooling down of my plates as I do passes. Uh, I had a little bit of fun today in class and decided to write my name. Of course, it's probably going to look backwards to you, but I ended up doing my name in cursive on this just to see if I still had like the steady hand while doing MIG, and yeah, pretty good. Had a little bit of fun with my plates. This is two different plates that I ended up doing Tjoints on, and then I just put it together and proceeded to just do my joints like that. Pretty much was done on scrap material, but it gives a basic idea for me to see what I'm capable of doing. Pretty pretty decent, right? Not bad for somebody who just started. But this is what I was working on in class. Not sure how well you'll be able to see it. But yeah, we were working on doing like T-joints. And you can see why. You see the shape. Um, but yeah. Pretty, right? Um, I think the thing about MIG that I'm trying to really get used to is the idea of just keeping the trigger down so that my puddle stays fluent. Something that actually I noticed triggered me, just kind of funny, right? I noticed it triggered me was the fact that with the slightest let up of the trigger, um, there's like a hesitation, and I can tell that my puddle is getting ready to get disrupted in a way that is going to irritate me. And this is something that I've noticed. If you even have the slightest little bit of OCD when it comes to how your beads look, um, this can be a little bit more frustrating than with stick welding, because at least with stick welding you can get pretty good with your restarts, that you can blend them in very well. With MIG, I'm still working on that, and I can admit I actually intentionally a few times stopped just to see how good I can get it to look with a restart. But my first impression is I would prefer to just get my weld in one go with MIG, because I don't really like how restarts look. Um, I do like the fact that there's a lot less issues with having to chip off slag. That's actually a plus. Um, it is kind of fun when I'm not worrying about the issue with me and my hand getting kind of tired with the trigger. It actually is kind of fun just being able to just go, and less chances of me worrying about getting arc flash too. That's actually a positive. Um, Another thing that I've noticed though that is slightly annoying is having to constantly clean out the nozzle. It just, over time, it's a thing, and I feel like that's the one thing that actually kind of slows down a little, will slow you down a little bit, making sure that if you're something like me and you want your stuff to be clean, um, yeah, snipping the wire and cleaning out that, so that you don't end up having other little issues or imperfections happen because of something you could have prevented in the first place. Um, I I actually had a lot of fun today. I didn't really start off the day my best because I didn't really get the sleep that I needed. And despite the fact the weekend basically being almost perfect, which is saying a lot by my standards, I had like almost a perfect weekend. I really can't complain. But going into Monday, I felt like towards the very end of my sleep cycle, I got disrupted in a way that I was just like, screw it, I'm gonna get up. Which translated into this morning, I was kind of hoping we would end up doing schoolwork, but that didn't happen because um, our teacher ended up being sick. So the the last quarter teacher actually stood in for him, which was interesting and nice too because I didn't really have that many interactions with that teacher, which is going to be our last quarter teacher. Um, Another thing about this whole experience, it's very humbling for me just because I feel like I am learning so many things, and it's a testament to the teachers how well they actually can get the information across, not just in them doing class presentation, but with the fact that they actually go through the process of giving you actual hands on training. Like the whole concept of having muscle memory when it comes to welding, that ain't even a joke. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get with doing it, and the easier it gets for you to actually just ease into it. Um, I noticed when I first started doing stick welding, I felt very excited about it, but I did have my moments when I was learning something, a different position, um, that I felt like I could always improve. I can always get better, and this is something that I'm noticing throughout my journey of learning to become a welder, and going towards getting my certifications. Is the more practice that I get in, the better. Um, it doesn't matter if you run really pretty beads, but if you can't get your positioning well, like where you need to get your beads set to do a joint, it's kind of pointless at that point. So it's like learning all of the terms that I need, learning how the machine works, learning all of the actual legitimate terms for things is very eye opening because even when I worked in security and I would be on some construction sites and stuff like that, there's a lot of slang terms that goes around. There's a lot of banter about things that certain things are not called that in a book, but this is what the actual terms are. So I like stuff like that, and you can probably make fun of me for this, but I actually really enjoy um, actually stepping outside of my comfort zone when it comes to things like that. It's a great way of learning something new and actually pushing my limitations or pushing the boundaries. I won't say limitations because as far as that goes, like the only thing that limits you is yourself. When it comes to a lot of things, it's just you not trying, you not actually being adventurous enough to actually try to do it. And I am very humbled by this experience because there are moments where I really do legitimately feel like, is this the right thing for me to be doing? I hope this is worth it. Like I do still have like I want this to be a legitimate vlog of me actually just being real with y'all. Sometimes I do have my moments that I'm like I could just be out working. Um and I do end up feeling tired because it's like I'm burning rod or I'm running wire all day, standing up repeatedly doing the same types of thing over and over and over again. And it's like going to a job legit that I don't get paid for. Like I'm paying to go to school. So this is something that I legitimately did take into account when I first decided to do this. But I am noticing that I feel a lot more tired. Um, and this is funny after I get done welding. So I'm thinking I'm like really ecstatic. I'm excited about all this stuff that's going on. And then it's like, oh well, I'm getting ready to go in and do some driving and do some working and whatever else. And then I find myself wanting to go study, which is I guess something I'm going to admit. I love learning almost everything about welding. Like I love it. Like I love going on YouTube, looking up videos, and just seeing what other people are doing, comparing, seeing my progress. Which is why, even though it might not be the best lighting all the time, I do occasionally come and bring pieces that I've actually welded so that you can see, like, this is where I am at this point, this is where I've got to. And so far, I'm really just enjoying the fact that I do have decent hand eye coordination. Um, Now, here's something that I did notice, and this is with MIG on the actual gun, where the nozzle is. I legitimately am like one of those people that's like slightly annoyed with having to find just the right position so that I don't end up being what's the word, blinded, or have a blind spot because of the way, the angle of where the actual nozzle is. I can see the tip, and then when I'm running my puddle, I'm concerned about any type of spatter. Like, I don't know, is it just me that's like that? But for some reason, I just have to find just the right position, or else I feel as though it's causing a little bit too much of a blind spot for me. And this is coming from doing stick welding, where I've done all positions, and I'm pretty much good at all of the positions, including overhead. And so coming into MIG, it's slightly interesting for me to actually be picking up on those little variations of how I'm seeing the difference um, in the application, like how this feels actually running this bead doing MIG versus doing a bead with an electro 6011 60 18 70 18. And it's like, there's a part of me, as silly as this is, I kind of miss the smell of burning rod. Now, the funny thing with this, I looking back at, like, back in August when I first started going to school, how fresh it felt, or how what's the word, not anxious, but I felt wet behind the ears. Like, I'm such a newbie at this. I'm thinking like maybe I'm the only person who's never really run a bead, and I'm not the only person who's never really done this and that. And then I finally had to get to a position where it doesn't matter how much experience someone else has. It doesn't matter what this other person is doing. I need to learn what I need to learn, and I need to focus on myself. So that right there in itself actually put me in a whole other button, like a whole other gear, in learning and going to school, because it's like, if I actually look at my progress, I've made a lot of progress from day one. I'm way more confident. I feel way more comfortable with welding in general. And there's a list of things that I find kind of interesting, that some other people have been saying. Like, and I've noticed this from our actual class, there are a few people that it seemed like, okay, if you're afraid of fire, why would you want to become a welder? Like, what? And that's actually something that happened to a few people, and I find that very interesting. And I'm thankful I'm not one of those people who's afraid of stuff like that. Like, I can only imagine. So there's this part of me. Hey, kitty. There's a part of me that is so very thankful for the opportunity. Why do you always have to try to come and get in the way? For the opportunity to actually learn from all of the teachers that I'm going to have. But at the same time, I'm still keeping that open mind, and I'm still going through the process of trying to make sure that I learn everything that I need to learn at the same time. There's this real sense of happiness or joy that I get from actually accomplishing things that the teacher asked me to do. But I always look at it from the perspective of, even if I make a mistake, I can learn from it. That way, I can see what's a better technique for me to actually doing the same thing, or I can see what's more comfortable for me, because everybody's built differently. Everybody has different comfort levels and stuff like that. So I feel as though the more comfortable I get with welding in different positions and learning more about how the machinery works, learning more about different applications, this whole process actually puts me in a better position to see exactly where I want to be in game at towards the end when I'm getting my certifications. So honestly, there are a few things that are on my bucket list, and so I'm gonna go with the one. Why do you keep doing that? I'm gonna go with the one that sticks out in the front of my mind the most. I would like to actually get very comfortable with cutting with the oxyacetylene torch to the point that I can just cut almost anything on any curve or anything like that. Like, I'm good at it now, but my whole thing is I want to get so good at it that it's like second nature, if that makes sense. Like, I want to be efficient. I want to be able to just breeze through it. And the same thing with my welds. I take a lot of time actually doing dry runs to make sure that I actually get where I need to get to. And so there's a lot going on in my mind when I try to go about actually executing a weld. And I think at the end of the day, sometimes being detail oriented on that level is actually a benefit for me, when in other situations it might be considered overthinking. So this is part of the reason why now that I'm actually in school, I am so very thankful for the fact that I actually decided to go ahead and learn welding. So this is the part where I'm actually going to go there and actually go into some other things. So because I'm doing welding, grinding, and all the rest of that, it dawned on me, and I took one of the teacher's advice and picked this little gem up because, hey, why not? Why not have something that fits under my helmet and doesn't have the extra material on the outside, which my previous mask actually has extra extra filters that are on the outside that are very round. And yeah, I've seen some things happen with getting some sparks come up there, and it was kind of it's kind of awkward. That being said, this one is by Miller. I picked it up on Amazon. I actually like this a lot. In comparison, the only thing that I will say that I do miss on this one versus the other respirator that I have is I can't just click it. I just can't click it open on the side the same way because I'm so used to being able to just put the top one up here and then pull the strap around. But that's the only thing I can think of that was actually kind of awkward about the two. So I also ended up picking these up, which they are fixed torch goggles. I got them in a shade 5 for when I'm using the oxyacetylene cutting torch, and I like these because they fit over my glasses, and I have more than one pair of glasses, and the other set of glasses are rather huge. They're like huge, and they fit under here too, so I think this was actually a good buy. I picked these up. They were only like $3. There was a coupon or something for them, and I said, you know what, that's pretty cool. The ones with an actual flip up and down that's not a fixed shade is actually a little bit more expensive, but as long as it gets the job done, that's what matters, right? Okay, I think that's about it. I'm having a pretty decent time at school. I have a test tomorrow, so I'm probably going to end up spending some time just flat out studying. And apparently, apparently my cat Salem wants affection and attention, so I'm going to wrap this up. I hope everybody's doing good, staying blessed, and feeling well. And I will see you all next time. I ended up swapping out my earrings really quick. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see them all that great, but I finally swapped them out these 16 gauge, and he's totally not helping, is he? Um, and they have balls on the back of them. You're not helping, Salem. You're not helping. But I'm pretty sure you probably know, if you have earrings, what I'm talking about. That way I don't end up having issues with being uncomfortable when I lay down. They're healing up pretty good. No complaints here. Not really having any problems with them. And I noticed that since I've actually done my piercings, I'm a little bit less anxious, in the sense that I do think that it actually is helping. Um, and I don't know, I might end up having to do a video at some point. Don't quote me on this about acupressure or acupuncture, just because I've noticed that that type of thing actually does seem to work for me personally. Although I am not sure I would even bother with trying to get the day piercing. And the simple reason is because I have to deal with a lot of earplugs and um, earbuds and stuff, and that piercing would probably cause me some issues if I even tried to get that put in there. I'm fairly sure that would cause me all kinds of problems that I don't want to deal with while I'm in welding school. So I will see you all next time. Feel free to comment below. I have to get my laptop back up and running before I can check my comment section and stuff like that. But thank you everybody so much, and I will see you all next time. Yeah, I know I said that a lot, right? Bye.